I'm Parker, everyone.
Parker is a good friend of ours now. A year ago, we didn't.
We weren't friends at all.
Yeah, a year ago, we really weren't friends at all. We didn't really know much about each other. How did you even start watching us?
I think just being an outdoorsman and watching deer hunting online. I think, algorithm. Man, that's a struggle word for me. Don't make me try to say rule either. But it was just one of those deals where I think it just pulled me into like starting to watch your stuff, and the more content I watched of yours, and the more I got to thinking, I'm like, man, these guys are a lot like-minded in the way we hunt, the way we do life, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I had something I needed to offer as an outfitter, and I think I messaged you or something on Instagram, maybe.
Yeah, I think you just messaged us on Instagram, and you're like, hey, have you guys ever thought about hunting Kansas? And I'm like, it's been literally a lifelong dream of mine since I was like 10 years old.
And believe it or not, I think we started out our relationship in this same setting. It was a podcast. It was about me finding the dead guy while I was out shed hunting.
Yeah.
And we did that, you and me and Dean. We recorded that afternoon, and I think that's when I kind of threw the bone out there. I'm like, yo, like, you guys definitely need to come to Kansas. Put in for a tag. Like,
yeah. And we're glad that you said that because, well, Dean is the type of person that likes to really think things through.
right.
And make sure that everything is lined up, just right before he pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about like having that patience and calmness to you. I don't have that.
Right.
So you're like, come to Kansas, and I'm like, what do I need to do? Where do I need to sign? So what happened was, you were on me for a while about putting in for tags.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Dean also to put in for tags, because in Kansas you can put in as a solo or you can put in as a group, and if you put in as a group and you get drawn, everybody in that group gets drawn. So for instance, if Dean and I were going to apply, we could have applied together. If one of us gets drawn, we both get tags.
Correct.
So that's kind of what I was getting at. And you're like, you guys both need to put in, just both try and draw, like come out, whatever. And I'm kind of on Dean, and he's like, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of travel, it's a lot of time, and this and that, and it is. But I'm like, screw it. Finally, I could kind of tell he had a little bit of apprehension. He didn't have apprehension of coming, but there was just, there's obstacles, and he's kind of thinking about all of those obstacles to where I'm already in a tree in Kansas. Like,
Correct.
You say come to Kansas,
Yep.
I'm already here. So I put in. It got down to the 11th hour. Dean put in. Since we put in at separate times, we didn't get to put in as a group. I drew a tag. He didn't.
Which in the long run is kind of a blessing in disguise, because the way that could work out for you guys going into this upcoming season is now he has a preference point. You've already drawn a tag. There's a chance that you might not draw a tag if you put in singularly. So now that you can piggyback off of his tag this year, so you guys will both put in as a couple.
So
and
it worked out, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess June will tell us what that's going to look like for you guys.
Sure.
But at this point, like in the back of my mind, I think we're onto something here.
Yeah, we're in pretty good shape.
Let's try to bunk the system a little here. Let's see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, right. Well, so I ended up drawing a tag. We ended up working it out. We came mid-December last year.
As out-of-state hunters.
As out-of-state hunters. Bastards.
Seriously.
And honestly, like, this has been a dream come true. And I don't say that lightly, like, oh my God, it's a dream come true. Like, legitimately, for me, this is a dream come true. Like, it's been a dream come true for me to start TAGNBRAG and kind of go through that whole journey and be involved and be a part of the outdoor and hunting industry. But for me personally, like this was easily top 3 from a hunting perspective on my bucket list. easily.
Yeah.
So thank you, because you've helped me fulfill that. And it's like, as an out-of-state hunter, there's a lot of research that needs to be done depending on where you're going or what you're doing.
They don't make it completely easy.
No, and you also need to you kind of need to know somebody. I mean, you can go attack public land, and that's all fine and good too. But there is a lot of trial and error with that. And when you're spending the time and money to go out of state, into an area where you've never been, you don't really know anything about. I mean, I've hunted whitetails my whole life, but I've never hunted Kansas.
Yeah.
So for me, trying to maximize and use the time the most efficiently, like I would like to at least know somebody in the area or have somebody that can point me in the right direction.
Navigation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So we came out here, honestly, we had probably the best 5 hunting days of our entire season. The 3 of us had an absolute blast the entire time.
It was deer camp.
Yeah, and it was honest, like even all the way back to when we recorded a podcast over a year ago, like it was a brotherhood to begin with. That happened very, very quickly.
The thing that was exciting for me is I knew what I had to offer here with my leases, with my knowledge, and so my excitement on the podcast side of your guys' hunt was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm like you guys don't even know. Like I was probably to the point of annoyance with you, or like I could just see you and Dean text him like, why is this guy so excited about where he's at and the deer that he's hunting? Like, what does he know that we don't? It can't be that damn good.
But the cool part about it, all of that is and was like, you're not hunting. We're hunting. And in the passion that you had to get us out here to experience this, without even really knowing that this is like a bucket list hunt of mine,
mm-hmm.
it was so emphatic. It was so like there's one answer to this. That's it. Like just apply for tags, get drawn, and come do it. Like there was one answer. So that in itself is very unusual and rare to find. Specifically in the hunting world, where things have kind of gotten a little bit more competitive and a little bit more less hunt camp, more I'm going to pursue a big deer or a single deer or whatever, and that turns into a lonely world. So just from that fact in itself, like you were so emphatic about us coming out here. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really else to say about that for me. Like it's hard to put that into words. It's hard to put into words like the impact that just knowing you over the past year and being able to come out here has had on me as a hunter. And yeah, I don't know.
That particular statement that you just made is the root of why I do what I do.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I could take you to my house and I could show you my trophy wall. Mm-hmm. And is it impressive? Okay.
I'll say it.
But it's more about like not to be super oversensitive and talk about crazy weird topics, but I'm a week away from the death of my father. He died on Easter of last year. And for the last year now, it's just been me thinking about like, what's the importance of hunting to me? What is the root of why I do what I do? And I can remember that my dad had a passion, a love, a joy of the outdoors. He did some archery hunting when he was younger, but he was basically a rifleman. Like my dad reloaded all of his own guns, like whether it was his 22-250 or his 6mm or like whatever it was, his 35 Wayland. Like I could name all the guns my dad, but he had something in his life that he was passionate about. And as a father, you want to pass that on to your children, whatever that is. Sure. And this last year has just been like pounding into me of like, what's the importance of what you're doing? Is it about killing a giant buck and having a social media presence as far as like you killed the biggest buck of the year or whatever it is? Am I going to get lost in that, or is it about this right here, the camaraderie of like, I'll just keep calling it hunt camp. Yeah. Like we're not hunting. Well, I mean, we're shed hunting. That's what we've been doing the last couple of days, but it's just, I don't know. It's just making me go back to when I was 10 years old. And that was the feeling I had with you guys coming into camp. And I have that with a lot of my hunters. Like I've got a great clientele. Like some of my best friends, honestly, at this point in my life are my out-of-state hunting guys. And that was kind of the route we're going into, or the path we're going into, the very first topic of conversation. Because you and I, over the last day and a half, and even before that, we've had this conversation a lot of the stigma, the black eye of, I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to cuss on a podcast, but the effing out-of-state hunters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Damn
like,
you guys.
Let's go. Let's get into it. Because I know there's people out there that, because I can remember when I grew up in Missouri, I was on that side of this fence of I've got land, I've got permission pieces. This was before I ever leased a piece of ground. And I would be in town and I would see a truck with a Louisiana plate or a whatever don't want to pick on my Louisiana guys. I'm just saying, I'm just naming
anywhere but Missouri.
Anywhere but Missouri.
Yeah.
And I knew they were in there because they were in pumping Pete's, getting gas and grabbing a quick burger and fry and a shake. And they were headed back out to the timber. And I was that guy going, go home. Like I was a teenager. I didn't have the balls to tell somebody to go home, but that's how I felt in my heart. I'm like, this is mine. This is it. This is mine. Like, this is mine.
It's funny you say that because we grew up on the other side of that fence.
Mm-hmm.
We're from Ohio, and my grandparents had land in they had a lake house in Western New York, summer house, getaway. Grew up going up there every summer. My mom is from that part of New York. That's where my parents originally met. And so my mom's side of the family, her side of the family is up there. My grandparents on my dad's side of the family had a lake house up there, and our whole family grew up going up there every summer. Well, same thing as you. My dad loved to hunt. My grandpa loved to hunt. I was fortunate enough to share hunts with my great-grandpa, like 4 generations in a hunt camp. Mm-hmm. And I think about that to this day and how lucky I was for that. Like, that's insane. 4 generations in a hunt camp, and I can cognitively remember those memories. Like, that's, I mean, I got goosebumps right now.
They're the best. They're the best memories. Yep.
So we had what started with like 40 acres in Western New York. Dean and I didn't hunt Ohio until high school, until we got serious into bow hunting and we wanted to start exploring what we had in our own home state, because guys were killing big deer in our own home state and we weren't even thinking about hunting there. So when we grew up as that asshole out-of-state hunter. And, and our neighbors hated us, and the guys down the street hated us, and we got shit on like crazy. Game wardens called for absolutely no reason, digging and reaching for any way that they could get at us for doing something unlawful, and all we were doing was a group of guys that loved to hunt. Right. So we were on the opposite side of that fence, and as a young man, up and coming hunter, like I was immersed in that at a young age, but I didn't understand, like, what's the hate here? Like, this shit is awesome. It's like hunting. This shit is awesome. Being with the guys at 10, 11, 12 years old. This shit is awesome. Like, why is anybody mad about this? Right.
Well, I think out of the conversations that we've had over the last couple of days, I think the root of what we've discovered is it's greed.
Sure. Yeah.
It's greed.
That part, yeah. The out of state or bashing that portion of it for sure.
It's, and I've said this on several different occasions, and it's me. I'm I'm not a world traveler, but I've been to 46 of the 50 states we've got. Okay. So there are specific things in Kansas that you can only do in Kansas.
Oh yeah.
There are specific things in Florida that you can only do in Florida. California, name a state.
Right.
So for me, I started to open my eyes up to the bucking out of staters in a whole new light when I decided, you know what, like I'm super passionate about what I do. And most of it is I get to share my knowledge to a group of individuals that maybe haven't traveled down as many roads as I have in the whitetail world.
Yeah.
And I want to share the success that I've had with them so they can start to become more successful. And I still make mistakes and I still learn every day in the whitetail world. But I'm super passionate about it, and it's something I'll always do in my, I'm hoping God will bless me with this for the remainder of my life, you know? And so for me, another thing that Shauna and I do is we own a bar and grill. We're in the Airbnb that we own, and then underneath the Airbnb is our restaurant. And so those out-of-state guys have stayed in my Airbnb. They've rented it. They've had drinks and food and supported us as individuals. Even other outfitters people come here and have food and dinner. And out-of-state guys that have either bought land and come out here and hunt, or have a lease, or a buddy that's got a lease and they drew a tag, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah,
it's just one of those things where the more I was around it and the more I watched it stimulate the economy in these little bitty, like,
all the best hunting towns are
seriously,
tiny.
Seriously.
I mean, we go up to North Dakota, it's a town of 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not another decent sized town for 30, 40, 50 miles.
Yeah. How long have you been going out there now?
11 years.
And then like some of the places that you go into, like the ladies that work there that have started to recognize you.
Cafe. We go in there every time we go in there.
What's the name of the town?
Medina,
North Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody that.
Whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't give a shit.
But what
We've already been tracked down in North Dakota and other states that we hunt. You can't. Yeah. Good.
But what?
I'll send you coordinates if you need them.
Yeah. Sponsored by OnX. We'll drop you a pin.
Yeah, I'll drop you a pin.
But it's like those people. I guarantee you, because I'm one of those people. I look forward to when October and November get here. Not only my own clients, and I don't want to call them my clients. Not only my own friends that come in that hunt with me. I look forward to them coming in.
Oh yeah.
Not because of the money they're going to spend at the restaurant or whatever. Because you can ask any of my guys that come in. I look at them and they're like, "We're in such and such place. What's good to eat here? Go to Sharky's. Go to Rookie's. You know, when you're in Iola or whatever, or when you're down here, go to Case Place. Go to there's another little go to the Hangout. Like, there's other places. Like, when you're here and you're going to spend money, I'm probably not going to recommend McDonald's or Sonic, and I'm not trying to pick on those people, but I'm going to push you in a mom and pop direction every time.
Why wouldn't you want to experience something like that?
Those people look forward to you coming in because, not to pick on local people, but a lot of times when guys get out and they're at hunt camp, they've saved X amount of dollars for a 7-day trip. They're in the tree usually from sun up to sundown, and they've got $150 bill burning a hole in their pocket, and they're going to spend $50 on a meal, and they're probably going to tip their server $100 just because whatever, we're on vacation, we're here killing deer, like, let's go, boys. Right.
And not to
nope. No, you're good. I'm good.
We're good.
Okay.
Not to mention, like, you're on vacation, you're hunting, like, the mood, the energy is positive. It's high. So you're already in the giving spirit.
I want to say this. That's the way it should be
all the time.
Period.
I completely agree.
And it's people that try to make your life. Now, if you're here and you're jacking around,
right, being an asshole, or
then I understand the negativity that could come your direction. But if you're here and you're hunting a white-tailed deer or a turkey or whatever it is, and you're an out-of-state person, you're on your lease or you're on your property or you're in town and you're doing your thing, like, glad to have you.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know how many times, like, I've got some guys that live in the Carolinas, and they come out here this last fall, had a great time, tagged out on like their 4th day. They've already invited me to go down there and go fishing. Guess where it's at? It's in the ocean. Guess what I don't have here in Kansas? I don't have an ocean. So for me, at that point, the experience they got to share with me here, now I get to go share it with them there, and I'm like a 10-year-old because I've fished in the ocean like twice in my entire life. So when I'm down there, I don't care what I'm catching.
Right.
It's all amazing. I've never seen it before.
Right.
You know what? I'm like, what's this? Oh, don't touch it. Why? Well, because it could kill you. All right, you get it then. Like, let's catch another one.
Well, and to go off of that, like for you even, and you're watching me walk through miles and miles of land yesterday, today in Kansas. Obviously, we were out here in December. Like, I'm a kid in a candy store the entire time. I mean, I had a 9-hour drive yesterday. Mm-hmm. I got right here. We walked 5 miles right off the rip until dark. Mm-hmm. We hung out after, had some dinner, and I got a few hours of sleep. And we got up, and basically from sun up to sundown today, the boots were on the ground. I'm exhausted. Like, physically, I'm exhausted. But my energy is through this roof because I've never experienced this before. And so you're getting to witness me experience this, that all of this is what you're accustomed to. I mean, it's your livelihood, it's where you live, it's a lot of different things.
It's the things that you take for granted.
Exactly. And
just like the guys that fish in the ocean, they probably take it for granted. But when I'm there, it's like, let's go, boys.
This guy loves every minute of it.
Right.
It almost, to an extent, can bring you back to like your first deer or your first hunt or whatever, and kind of get you back into that mindset or into that like feeling. And if people, or if the people that were upset about people like me coming into Kansas and taking their deer, which I didn't, took a couple bones home with me, but I didn't. But if they realize that, like, don't you think they would have a little bit of a different view on it?
I think what the problem is I don't think they fully think about the whole idea of what's going on in their own life. And what I mean by that is they live in a specific area. They're not chained to that area.
Right.
Like, let's think about it this way. God created you and me and everything that's on this planet. He didn't go, every state gets an ocean, every state gets an elk, every state gets a mountain lion. He knew that we would be able to travel throughout his creation. So he put pockets of this and that and wherever he wanted to. And, and through time, the man has transported some elk to here, or like, unfortunately, in Colorado's case right now, some wolves, that's a rabbit trail you could get on. But he did that because he knew that there was going to be people that he's created with a passion to do certain things and spend time in the outdoors. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Let's quit calling it hunting. Let's call it, my wife just come up to me and said, we're going to the beach for like a week. And we're going to Florida. You know what? You have to get on a plane at MCI in Kansas City and fly to Florida to lay on the specific beach that she wants, because we don't have that here. At that moment, you're an out-of-state beach dweller.
Beacher.
So why is it okay for you to go do that, but it's not okay for you to come here and look for sheds, kill a turkey, or a white-tailed deer, or whatever, You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do those things in your own state, but sometimes it's about the journey.
Oh yeah, and I mean, some of the, you know, what my dad has started and the passion in me, and specifically in this hunting world, has sparked a curiosity in me to want to go experience other things in other places. You know, I grew up hunting in Western New York. A 2.5-year-old 8-point in Western New York when I was growing up, that was a monster buck. Anything over a 1.5-year forker or spike or 3-point, whatever, was a big buck. So when I watched like Bill Jordan and Waddell and David Blanton on TV and the juries and stuff like that kill these massive deer, and specifically one of the states I always saw big deer going down was in Kansas.
Right.
Like, to me, part of me didn't believe that actually existed.
Right.
Part of me did not believe.
Right.
Like, that's fake. There's, you know, you got people
somebody
like
backed up with a trailer.
High fence. All that, you know, you start shouting out all the things like it's not real. But that little kid in me that had that fire sparked in him grew a curiosity to go chase what I was passionate about, and now I get to experience that shit firsthand and know that it is real. Like, that's amazing.
20 plus years ago, back when Bass Pro was just in Springfield, Missouri, and he just maybe had 1 or 2 other stores. I can remember growing up and going to Bass Pro as a little boy with my father, and I mean it was a 1-store time, and they used to have this thing called the Bass Pro Hunting Classic. And everybody that was anybody in the outdoor industry, and nowadays you couldn't fit them in a store because there's so many of them. But there was a man by the name of Larry Conrad, and you're not going to probably know who he is, but he was him.
Is that Midway USA guy?
No. This guy, Larry Conrad, lives out in Ashland, Kansas. He's out around Dodge City, Kansas. And if he sees this, he's not going to know who I am right at the moment while I'm talking about it. But the more I get into it, he's going to like, oh my gosh, that dude's 25 years older than the last time I seen him. I was a kid. And he ran an outfitting business called TAGNBRAG Outfitters. And they were putting people on giants. Do you remember the deer that Bill Jordan miscalled the barbed wire buck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's Larry Conrad.
Okay.
So I can remember 190 plus.
Yeah.
On the ground. Tried to shoot him through a fence and hit the fence, and that's why it deemed the barbed wire buck. But anyways, I can remember as a kid going to the deer classic that Bass Pro Johnny Morris would put on up there, and all these people would be there. Bill Jordan was there, Michael Waddell, they're all there. Alex Rutledge, like everybody was there. And Larry Conrad would show up, and I might have been one of the only people that recognized Larry Conrad, but I started a conversation with him, and every year after that we would visit. And I just remember being a kid and having this passion, and that was at a very early age. I was a Missourian, and from like those days, my heart was always pulled to the western state of Kansas. I'm like, I got to get there. I got to figure this out. Like, I'm a whitetail guy. They got big whitetails in Kansas. Like, I got to get over there. I got to figure this whole thing out. Yeah. So here I am, 20 plus years later, and I've been blessed with an opportunity to buy land, build a house, and lease quite a bit of ground, quite a bit of really good ground. And I think a lot of, we've had this conversation. I think a lot of what happens in these small communities is there was a day where you knocked on somebody's door and getting permission was pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, like whether it was to quail hunt or to deer hunt or to turkey hunt or whatever it was, like they didn't really care. It was just, and I think in a lot of ways, hunters have kind of ruined a little bit of that, you know, like, well, I told him he could go quail hunting. The idiot's out there in the middle of my dadgum bean field buried to his axles, or
right.
My cows are out on the dirt road because this idiot decided to leave the dadgum gate open. And so through time, the knocking on the door has gone to a less percentage. And what's happening now is people that own land, if they don't hunt it themselves as family or lease it to an out-of-state guy, because I know there are some in-state guys that do lease ground, but those days are slowly starting to go away. And you almost can't blame the landowner because at this point in time, everything's crazy expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And they can look at you and be like, yeah, I'll lease you my 500 acres. Like, I've always just kind of given somebody permission. And it's going to make that person that you've been given permission this whole time, it's going to upset him because now all of a sudden you're taking something away from him that you've given him. But you can have those conversations and be like, hey, taxes on this place are really, really high. And I would like to maybe start leasing it out. And I'll give you first rights. I want $15 to $25 an acre is kind of where we're at this point in life. So whatever the number they're going to be comfortable with. And you either have to ante up to continue to hunt that land, or there's going to be somebody in the wayside that's going to come up with that money. And then all of a sudden you're out of that hunting property. So now you've gotten mad, not at the landowner, maybe a little bit, but you're really mad because somebody, like if you're a Kansas resident and it's a Kansas property, somebody from Georgia now has paid this guy. But can you blame the farmer? Because now all of a sudden, like you've relieved a little bit of stress from his life because now he's able to pay the taxes on the property. And you've got 2 or 3 guys in there from out of state that are in there hunting. And the reason why those guys from Georgia want to come in and hunt, because they're not killing the same caliber of deer on a consistent basis as we are here in Kansas. So they're wanting to up their opportunities. So those effing out-of-staters have taken a piece of land that you hunted on permission pieces. They are helping that farmer out, and they're here enjoying themselves. And not only that, they're stimulating the local economy. They're going to Leonard's and having, like I had a group come in 2 years ago. We went to lunch in downtown, left, drove to the edge of town. The guys went in there and dumped $600 in a local bait and tackle shop that sells archery tackle. That's $600.
Yeah. I mean, these little towns all across middle America, like it's no different when we go up to North Dakota from September, October, November. It's not all just whitetail hunters. It's actually, we're the minority up there. It's the waterfowl.
Oh man,
but
same way here.
You go, it's a Tuesday in the middle of October, and the local bar, you can't find a parking spot on the side of the street because the local bar is jammed.
Right.
On a Tuesday.
And the people that live in these local areas, their friends own that bar and grill.
Right.
And they're not mad at them because they're super successful and that's a good thing. But at the same time, they're mad at the guys that are in here hunting because now all of a sudden they're hunting a piece of waterfowl that they always had a permission piece on. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm not saying that I've either added or taken away from the goodness or the bad. Like we was talking about, what we want to do in this is we want to bring it out into the air, share our opinions in humility, and not be like pushy with our opinion.
Right.
More than anything.
Yeah, and I think to go along with that, like the reason that it's kind of shifted that way, in my opinion, is hunting has become competitive. It's no longer, well, it's not as much as it was a buddy sport or activity. Where it's like all for one and one for all. When I was growing up, it was, if it was brown, it was down, and it
was celebrated.
Oh my God, it was celebrated. It was a button buck, and it was celebrated. If it had any sort of bone on its head, it was celebrated exponentially more.
Yeah, there was always that one guy in the crowd that said, "Did you shoot that up from underneath its mom?" And it's like, "Yep." And I shot its mom too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's gotten so competitive, so that's where the out of state or the stigmatism, the bad kind of stigmatism for the out of state hunter comes in, because the out of state hunter is coming in and taking from us. And
right.
and in a small way, yeah, but they're not taken from you or you or you. Like they're just taking one of God's renewable resources.
There you go.
That we all have the right to hunt.
There you go.
And the deer don't have. None of these animals have boundaries. We put property lines up. We put state lines up. We put the regulations in place. We do that as humans. The deer don't know that. They don't have that. So whether a deer gets taken from a Kansas resident or myself coming from Tennessee, like it's a life lost regardless. It doesn't matter. But I think the greediness in the hunting world, unfortunately, has shifted that to where, because think about it, if that land or if that farmer that has an opportunity to go lease his or her property to another hunter, if the original person who had permission went to that landowner and said, "Hey, like, I know you can make a couple extra bucks on this, and I can't pay you the $2,000 that it's going to cost for this lease, but I could give you $500, and your land is so special to me because I get to share the hunting season with my son and my grandson or my granddaughter or my wife and kids," and it was more about like the family and the tradition involved in it. Do you think that hunter's going to go, "I don't give a shit, I'm going with the $2,000"? No. Any decent human is going to be like, "Wow, like my land does that for you?
Right.
My land does that for you and your family? Just don't worry about it. Like, go hunt." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's because of that big deer. It's because of the next big thing and the person that is pursuing it. So now, if the landowner's keened in on any of this, they're like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I live in Kansas. Kansas is one of the better big buck states in America. So, yeah, I know that I have a hot commodity because of the competition within the hunting world. And people want to come shoot a big deer, so I'm going to charge them for it."
Right.
You know?
Right.
If it was the other way around, if it was, if people approached it as that more of like a family aspect, I think it would have completely different results. That scenario would have completely different results.
One of the farmers that I do lease ground from, he actually approached me this year and said, "Hey, I've got a family member that wants to rifle hunt. Like, where are you at during rifle season?" I said, "Tell him have at it. Like, here's where all the stands are that I've got on your farms." Like, he doesn't go out and check and see where all the stands are, but like, I'm like, you bless me with the opportunity to be a blessing to other people. Why would I take that away from
your family?
Yeah.
All the while you're paying for it.
All the while I'm paying for the hunting rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like,
there's
I'm
not many other outfitters that would even consider that.
I'm not like every other outfitter.
I know. I've come
and
to realize that.
I take a lot of pride in what I just said too.
Yeah. I mean.
So, no, it's a touchy subject, and it's got a lot of callous over it. Mm-hmm. And I would really like to just open the eyes of people to like think sometimes it's okay to be humble and be like, like, I've been that guy before and I've hated on people, but then if I'm being real humble, like the elk that's on the wall, like I killed it in New Mexico.
Right.
and I live in Georgia, or you know what I mean? Like, I had to go somewhere and do something that I couldn't do here. And I think God loves humility. And when we can be those type of people, I think he pours his blessings out on us even more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. And I like the humility part of that. I've fallen victim to some of this stuff as well. Like, I'm not
been guilty for it.
I'm not a greedy. I wouldn't consider myself like a greedy human being, but I have put emphasis on the big deer, and on, killing the biggest and the baddest in that specific
It's hard
area.
it's hard to not be part of the competition. It's hard. We're men.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
men compete. Women compete too, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but what I'm saying is men compete. Like, we follow different people on different social media sites, and we scroll through all their stuff to see what they've killed or what they're doing, and they probably do the exact same with us. And sometimes it's like when we were kids, like we were talking about this the other day. I was like, one of the dumbest things that we did that we ever let happen in the States was deer check-in stations. Going away, getting rid of deer check-in stations. And people, there's young people here that are watching this. They're like, what's a deer check-in station? Well, back when him and I were kids, a deer check-in station, you shot your deer, you gutted it, you wrapped a tag around either its antler or down by its tarsal gland, you threw it in the back of your truck, you drove to like a little check-in station or a gas station, you pulled in like on a Saturday opening morning of Missouri rifle season, you pulled in, there's probably, I'm not going to exaggerate, there's probably 20 to 30 vehicles in this gas station parking lot. People are getting fuel. People are getting sodas. People are getting heated honey buns. I mean, I'm going back, dude. And little kids are standing on bumpers or tires, looking over a truck bed, checking out whatever the deer is. And I can remember being a little kid, and if somebody came in with a 100-inch deer, that was a giant.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's a giant. And if somebody pulled in with the 160, it's like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
where did you find that?
Yeah. But you, by all this technology that we've added to the world, like, you have literally taken money out of the pockets of these small little mom and pop places where we used to gather and celebrate the hunt, because we did. I mean,
with people you didn't even know.
No.
Didn't even know.
You didn't care what their damn license plate said on it. You were looking over, like, you're 10 years old. You didn't even know that was an out-of-state license plate.
Right.
Like.
I mean, there was a place up in New York, the Lighthouse. Actually, our family-owned bait shop and general store was the place originally. I never really got to experience it, but for my dad and my uncles and my grandpa, like, that's where they went. And they had a Polaroid.
Yeah.
And they'd take your picture.
Put it on the trophy wall.
Yep. And it was deer. It was walleye season.
Yeah.
Catching muskies. Like, everything outdoors was on that wall.
You pump gas. You walk in the door. The first thing you do is you don't go get a pop and a candy bar. You walk over to the wall and you look at it and you're like, oh, look.
Shit.
Look at this deer Jay killed.
You could have walked in and looked at that wall.
That was social media.
Yeah, exactly.
That was social media.
That was.
You know what I mean?
Right there.
Yeah.
But that was the best.
It was the very best. It was the very best.
I mean, in Ohio, they used to have these ring tags for $1. Mm-hmm. So you would obviously tag your deer, but then when you went to the check-in station, you got like this. It was like this big long metal piece, and they clamped it to the base of the rack.
Yep.
So you had a number, and there was something to be said about going to check at a deer and getting that thing.
If you could take today's what are they called? What generation are these new kids?
Gen Z or X or something.
Whatever.
Yeah.
If you could take that gen and lump them together
Yeah.
and take them like a Men in Black, like the flashy thing, and be like, okay, we're going to get rid of your memory of everything that we've shoved down your throat now for the last 25 years of like, this is what hunting is.
Right.
And go back and release them into that area and be like, holy cow, like this is how you celebrated the hunt? Like
They would be like, oh, this is
Thursday, Friday, you got people rolling into camp. There's 4 or 5 dads and they've got their kids with them and they're making a dinner and they're checking their rifles out there in the edge of the yard everybody's got to get up in the morning. and that's going to lead me into the conversation that I had with you earlier today about what my father and I had for like the first five years of my hunting experiences, whether it was predator calling or hunting deer or hunting turkey. It wasn't about the big buck. It wasn't about the turkey with the longest beard or the biggest spurs. It wasn't about any of that stuff. It was about spending time with my dad. Yeah. When you're in the moment and you're a kid and you have all these youthful thoughts that the it doesn't matter how big the deer or whatever, and you're just enjoying the moments that you're with your loved ones doing what you love to do. You don't you don't realize that you lose that when you start trophy hunting, and where you came from wasn't a trophy hunting background. Yeah. Like my dad loved guns, loved building guns, loved reloading guns, reloading ammunition for the guns. I don't want to sound like too big of an idiot here. And then I got this, he bought me a bow, and him and my mom would chase me all over the damn country, and I shot 3D like everywhere. And it's you get caught up in the moment of like, well, I'm a bow hunter now. And
I can only hang out with bow hunters.
And rifle hunters are stupid.
Right.
So I would never tell my dad that I thought he was stupid, but like inside I'm thinking, I'm better than you. Yeah. Like you're just a deer hunter with a rifle. Anybody can kill a deer with a rifle. Those conversations, you hear them, you say this stuff, and it's not till those moments where you're looking at your father in the casket and then you think about a lot of things in a year's time of like, dude, I missed out on 20 years of hunting with my father because I made it about this. Yeah. When my dad tried to teach me that it's about this. And we said this word earlier, and it's exactly what it has turned into on so many levels with so many different guys, is it becomes a competition. It's like you build you want this legacy of he was this as a deer hunter. Like, like I can tell you right now that I hear from some friends this time of year. My close friends, I hear from them. But I can tell you when October, November, December roll around, my phone's constantly blowing up with people being like, yo, like, tell me again about the red moon phase. What are you talking about with high pressure? Yeah. And then I still entertain those because it's part of who I am, and I love to but I lost a lot of time with my father because I got caught up in the competition.
Yeah. I mean, that's real shit right there.
Right. It sucks to think about, but I can also tell you on the other side of that, like, I did share that with my father. Like he was always asking me,
right, what's going on? What are you doing? What are you seeing? What are you?
like
I mean, and I'm sure there was a lot of he was living vicariously.
for sure.
Because he probably thought at a certain point, like you get to a certain age, and he's like, well, how do I pick up a bow at this point? You know, how do I change my ways at this point to be able to hunt or do some of that stuff? And to be fair, it was the fire that he lit in you
Mm-hmm.
that pushed you to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you lost years, and I think that's just a very deep thing. Like,
Right.
It's a deep conversation because it is that real, and now that's been taken away from you.
Well, you try to, as men, you try to become the best at whatever it is you're going to do. And when it comes to the whitetail world, you know, like whatever show it might be that I'm at, the Iowa Deer Classic or whatever it might be, you know, you do have those people that recognize you. And I can tell you that this year at the Iowa Deer Classic, people approach me, people talk to me. You know, I've been doing this long enough. I'm not in the industry, but I've been.
You are.
I guess.
I mean, you are.
Well, I mean, at one point I definitely was. You know, I ran camera for Hunter Specialties. I was, you know, me and Joe Sir and those guys. We did some stuff with Hallowed Ground, and you know, like, and I was actively pursuing that with every fiber of my being, like, and I know it's a thing, and I know it needs to like continue, but like, I look back on that stuff, and I can't take any of it back. But there's moments where I wish I would have been like, okay, I'm spending all this time pursuing something that I am passionate about, but I wish I would have been able to like compartmentalize my thoughts of like, okay, it's okay to be this person, but at times, Parker, you need to be this person with your dad.
Too, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't do that. It was just all about like, I need to be this person. I need to be recognized. I need to be that guy.
Yeah.
And like so many of the, like probably the last, I'd say 8 deer. A lot of people don't even know that I've killed. I mean, I've shot them legally and tagged them legally, but as far as like putting them on like social media or putting it out there to brag about, I haven't, because it's like I'm learning more and more the older I get that like I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings when I say this, but most of the time people don't genuinely care.
They don't care.
And I'm doing it for myself again. Like this last year of like some of my thoughts is like, you know, I love my Bowtech bow. I shot for Bowtech for several years, a long time ago, like in the captain years. And I would really like to maybe buy a Black Widow. Like my dad's shop was right next door to the Black Widow, and have them build me a recurve and be super stoked about killing a doe, and then maybe being super stoked about harvesting a buck. I didn't say 160-inch deer, a buck.
Right.
And be like, start over and remember what it was like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I kind of like this past season for me. I'm disappointed in myself, and because I let that focus of the big deer get in the way of other things, important things, putting meat in the freezer, you know, relationships, and not like to a damaging point, but I wasn't I look back on the season, and you and I kind of did this at lunch. How many states have you hunted? Well, I hunted 6 states this year. How many in those states, how many of those states did you have a legit opportunity in? 4 out of the 6. You know, out of that, like, what could you have gotten on film and all of them. And so when I look, when like you're going through that with me, and I'm looking back at it, I'm like, well, the season actually wasn't that bad after all. I did it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I did it to me. I chose to let that deer walk and live another day. And he's dead now. And he's dead. That one's dead now. Or like I passed up opportunities because it wasn't the upper echelon like opportunities. And not only did I fail myself, I failed the people that are watching me. I failed my family. You know, the people that brought me up into this a totally different way.
Mm-hmm.
I failed the people that are watching me because I'm displaying the exact thing that I'm combating right now. And certain things have to happen.
It's a gut check. This year for you, this year for me, it was 100% gut check for me.
Yeah.
Like it was a gut check. It was like, okay, it's okay to drive down this road for a little while. Don't stay on this road for us.
Right.
Okay, what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to push this on anybody else, but where you're at, where I'm at, and where other people are that are listening to this podcast, watching this on YouTube or wherever it's going to be at, there's other people that are thinking the same thing. They're like, holy crap, like I am on that road.
Yeah.
And why am I on that road?
Right.
Like, do you ever slow down? Do you pump the brakes on that road and go, why am I where I'm at right now? And is this where I want to be?
Right.
Do I throw it in reverse and go back to the Y and take a left?
Right.
And for me, I pump the brakes. I come to a stop. I throw it in reverse. I'm back down. I'm going left.
Yeah, you feel like you're back on the right track too, because I've had it in the past where like, you know, I'm focused on like literally a specific deer. And you watch some of these TV shows or some of the content that I ingest on YouTube, and like there's all these like elaborate stories on, you know, a buck that we've been chasing for 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, like extravagant stuff. And it's like you almost want to be a part of that story. But when I put myself through a season like that where I'm literally chasing one specific deer, number one, I'm hunting with my brother, one of my best friends, my dad, my uncle, cousins. Like, if that is the only deer that is allowed to get shot off of that specific property, and there's 6 people hunting that specific property, like, you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
You are already setting not failure, I shouldn't say that.
Okay.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Completely.
Uh-huh.
And so I went through a season or two like that, and I'm like, no more. Am I like, it's okay to get infatuated with certain deer, and I have a passion for watching deer progress. Like, I do. It's intriguing to me. But from a hunting standpoint, like, for me at least, putting the emphasis on one specific deer, and you know what the funny part was? Like, I got the deer, but it was so stressful in the process. It wasn't fun.
You put pressure on something that's not supposed to have pressure in it.
Yeah, at all.
At
all. And that's a self-reflecting thing.
Yeah.
There's nobody else in the hunting industry or the hunting community that is putting that pressure on you. We're putting that pressure on ourselves based on the outside noise that we see, and the social media that we see, and the next big buck that we see that we think we need to top, or that we think we need to get close to in order to be able to post a photo or be proud of that moment at all. So it's almost like, in going back to this season for me, it's like I'm in these scenarios where, like, I worked hard. I spent time, money, long drives
away from my significant other. Like, all of this stuff I did to put myself in a scenario, but it wasn't like the perfect deer. It wasn't like the perfect scenario or the perfect deer for me to be, I don't know if it's like 100% fulfilled or really what it is, but I took the ball out of my hands in that situation. And like you said, it's a gut check. It won't happen to me again. I have lofty goals, and I am a very curious individual when it comes to hunting. I want to go experience an elk hunt in the mountains. I want to spot and stalk a mule deer.
Another out of state.
Yeah, I want to go to Alaska.
That's another out of stater.
And hunt a moose and maybe a brown bear and put myself maybe in a little bit of a dangerous situation to hunt. But damn, don't put the stipulation on the freaking animal. Just like go enjoy the adventure, and if you get the opportunity, take it.
Yeah.
Take it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and then celebrate that. You know, celebrate that with your brother, with your dad, with your family, with your friends, and all that stuff. The way that hunting, this sport, and the tradition around this sport was meant to be celebrated.
Let me tell you the funnest hunt I had all year long, and it wasn't even my hunt. I really enjoyed the hunt we had, but there's a guy, I'll just say his first name, is Roger. Are we still good? These guys got sketchy stuff anyways. Guy named Roger comes in, as he's hunted with me 2 or 3 years. He's killed some nice deer, and this year he decided he's going to do it with a bow. He had rifle hunted with me. This year I'm doing it with a bow. I'm like, all right, brother, come out. Him and Ricky come out, hunted one of our farms, and I don't know, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and he calls me. He's like, I just had the best hunt I've ever had in my life. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, send me some pictures. Like, I'll be there. Like, help me get it out. And he's like, no, me and Ricky already got him loaded up. I'm like, okay. That's
A little scared.
no, well, with Roger, you never know. And I love you, Roger, because I know you'll be listening to this thing. But he had gotten down out of the tree and put a stalk. Never done that before in his life, ever. Didn't even message me and be like, hey, is it okay? Because I would have been like, yeah, Roger, that's fine. Like, get him.
Yeah.
Get him, big dog. And no kidding, 110-inch 8-pointer.
That's awesome.
And he was freaking stoked. Stoked. He goes, I shot him. He didn't run nowhere. I was like, what possessed you? He goes, because it was something I had never done before. He goes, I've never been on the ground, eyeball to eyeball, with a wild animal, knowing I was getting ready to take its life.
Yeah.
I was like, no way. He goes, best hunt I've ever been on. One of the smallest bucks I've ever tagged in my entire life. He said, but he's like, but I need to, like, he goes, I don't want you to be mad. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that guy for you. Like, I don't want to be that guy in the comments section.
Right.
Like, I want you to understand, like,
This is good.
there we go.
This is good.
There we go. This is why we do what we do.
Let's celebrate.
Yeah.
this
Are
now.
you going to get 5,647 likes on Instagram on my page because it's a giant deer? Nope.
Right. But
You're not.
But nobody that's clicking that like button has any clue
About
what he went through to get that, and they also have no clue how it made him feel. And
nor do they care.
right. And nor should he.
Exactly right.
And
There you
nor
go.
should he.
Boy, that's gospel almost. I'm serious. Like why as a society have we decided that we can only enjoy life at a level where somebody else is going to allow us to enjoy it at?
Yeah. No, that is.
You know what?
100%
So
true.
here's what I say to all you locals that live in all these small rural areas that hate out-of-state hunters. We don't really care what you think. Like, I'm just being honest with every one of yous.
Right.
I was that person. I'm glad those people didn't care. They've probably got memories on not only in their minds but on their wall with family, with friends that will long outlive me being a butthead for 5 minutes of their life.
Right.
like, long live the beast. Like, you came and you accomplished something. That's like you in Kansas. It's a love affair at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't even feel anything yet.
well, keep your pants up here. But what I'm saying is not only that, but like this was the first buck you guys ever got a picture of.
Yeah.
What'd you do? You come out here and you found it laying in my damn yard because you're a punk. Like, I'm not even kidding. Found it laying in the yard. This buck. What's this buck mean to you?
It means that he gave me a tremendous opportunity that I botched, and he's still living today.
This is a 2-year-old shed. No, 2-year-old shed. His other sheds are on the ground. We just are not good enough shed hunters to find them. But like, you have started something here in Kansas as an out-of-state resident, coming here, and you've been here to shed hunt. You've been here to hunt these farms. Now it's like, it's game on. Like,
Oh my God, yeah. It's just like, for me as a whitetail hunter, this has taken everything that I've experienced in the whitetail woods, Kansas, and it has amplified it times a lot. So you can imagine, you know, and any hardcore hunter that is listening to this, like, just imagine yourself and the feeling that you get when you're on the chase,
mm-hmm.
and then amplify that.
Yeah,
And that is what Kansas has done for me.
right. And
And it's almost like, for me, it's given me that feeling of being that 12-year-old that has shot their first buck with a bow.
that's what new experiences does to you.
Exactly. And that's where, you know, my dad instilled in me this passion. And, well, I shouldn't say that. My dad introduced me to this.
Right.
And he was willing to take me at an age where most fathers probably would have been like, no. And especially right now, with the way that the hunting world is, if you're chasing a 160, 170, 180 inch deer, you think you're going to have an 8-year-old kid sitting on the platform of your ladder stand in between your feet? I mean, it's not that safe to begin with, so don't try that at home. But that's what I was doing.
Right.
And when my dad saw a deer, he would tap me with like the toe of his boot, and I would literally sit there freezing my ass off, waiting for that tap. And when that happened, I'm like,
There's something close.
something's here. Something's
Yeah.
about to go down.
Yeah.
But what he was willing to do, the sacrifice that he made for me to get involved in the hunt, has sparked a curiosity in me.
It's got you sitting where you're sitting right now.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
I am here with this man right
Yeah.
here because of you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I owe that
Well,
this all to him.
and that's where I'm at with like I can't look in that camera and thank my dad because my dad's not here no more and he's not going to see it, but I would thank him as well.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like there's things about what I do, like, it sucks to get your life threatened by somebody that doesn't like you. And yeah, I'm not being extreme. Like, that's happened. Like, I've had people threaten to run me over. I've had people try to run me over. I had a guy wish me the other day that I would leave town and get run over and killed on my way out of town. Like, I don't know what kind of person you have to be to like start wishing that stuff on people, but that's how certain people and individuals in these small communities, like, you have such a hate for what I do because I bring out-of-state guys into your local area, and they're like, yeah, but they're going to kill a 125-inch 2.5-year-old. That might be the biggest deer that guy's ever seen in his entire life.
Yeah.
Like, where did you start at?
Right. Exactly.
You know, where have you killed 190-inch deer your whole entire career?
Right.
Like,
Everybody's supposed to be on your level now because they're hunting and you're
right. And it's I don't know. It's crazy. This conversation is not going to stop it, but it's gonna have a few people like be like, like I might not agree with everything these guys are saying, but there's some of what they're saying that are like, I've kind of been that way and probably need to chill out a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like who knows? You might have a farm that you've been super successful on, and this out-of-state young man comes in and he's hunting a farm down the road from where you're at. He might run into your daughter, and he might be your son-in-law someday, so be nice to him. You know what I mean? So you can hate him as your son-in-law, not that out-of-state hunter anymore.
No, that's funny.
Oh, shoot. Well, life has a way of,
coming back around.
Oh, yeah.
It sure does. It sure does.
Oh, shoot. And the next thing you know, that son-in-law that you don't like because he was an out-of-state hunter might look at you and go, hey, my dad's got 600 acres down in the bayou. You want to go down there and crocodile hunt? And all of a sudden, you're crocodile hunting with your son-in-law. Life is great, and life is fun.
Well, Parker, as an out-of-state hunter, I can't thank you enough for opening the doors for me and my brother and hopefully more of our family to be able to come and experience this, because it is truly, truly a dream come true for me. And, we talked about a lot of different things on this podcast. I think that the deepest thing is the situation with your dad and the way that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you right now that if your dad can feel this,
Mm-hmm.
if your dad can feel like the relationship between the two of us and Dean included and how it's developed and what you've done for me, and me, like, you've got way more other people that you're affecting in a similar way, but he's up there and he's fucking proud.
Well, I want, after you say all that, I want to say this. I don't want my legacy to be Parker Stapp, the guy that put people on large whitetails. I want to be Parker Stapp, the person that loved and shared who God was in his life. I'm not a religious person, but I do have a lot of faith. And what I do through the whitetail world is it's something that I want people to leave here and be like, man, there was something a little bit different about that guy. I mean, there's a lot of things that are different about me, but what I mean is like I want them to like reflect and be like, like that dude's genuinely like a good guy and he has a really good heart, and like all glory to God, because in and of myself, I'm just a piece of shit. Like I've got bad thoughts. I act on stupid, like that stuff in your voice and in your mind you shouldn't act on, that sometimes you do. And I just pray that God covers that with His grace. But all of the good and everything that I've been in anybody's life, I just want everybody that's ever been affected by me to know that it was the love of God that He's bestowed on me, that I just want to share it with everybody. And if it's in the whitetail world, then here we go. Here we are.
Yeah, well, here we are.
Yeah.
And we're here right now. I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, you've had a major impact in the short time that we've known each other on my life, and I know that's going to continue. I'm grateful for hunting, because that's what's brought us together.
It's an amazing community.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's,
it's a pretty wholesome community still.
it really is. And we talk we've talked a lot about, how some of it has kind of gone by the wayside. There's still a ton of good in it.
Yes.
And I think, the frustrations with some of the bad come from the fact that hunting as a whole has had such a positive impact on the two of us, and we want to continue that positive impact with other people.
We want to be able to share it the way it was shared with us.
Exactly. And so kind of restoring that, or getting back to that view, that mindset.
Campfire, the whole campfire.
Make hunt camps great again.
Make hunt camps great again.
2024 slogan right there.
Make hunt camps great again. Absolutely.
God bless.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild November between the election and the rut. Something's good. Something's good's going to happen.
Good, bad, and indifferent's probably going to happen. Hopefully the arrow flies true. That's all I
Oh
gotta say.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, Parker, thanks for having me come out here again. It's been a blast. We got a few more hours to enjoy in the morning, and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully many more years to come.
Get them fun guys out and start using them.
We were using them the whole time. Thanks.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah. God bless.